Hello and welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you here today for our weekly OCI Deep Dive. For those of you who might be new to these events, we're hosted on Cloud Customer Connect, which is our Oracle community forum for end users. You'll see links in the chat throughout the presentation today that lead you back to those CCC forums, and we invite you to create a free account, join in discussions, and look for upcoming events on all kinds of topics. My name is Kenna Kettrick. I'm a program manager with the OCI Go-to-Market team, and today I'm joined by Srini Vinnakota, VP of Product Management for Oracle Digital Assistant, Andre Teixeira, Principal Technical Program Manager, and Joe Huang, Oracle Digital Assistant Product Management. And today they're going to take you through how to best leverage ODA for a variety of OCI services. Before I hand things over, I do have one quick poll to pop up here. Anyone who's been with us before will recognize this one, but these weekly sessions that we do, we design them with you, our end users, our customers in mind. And so I always like to know what interests you so that I can take that into consideration when scheduling future events and speak to what you would like to hear. Speaking of which, we do have an event next week on Thursday, October 7th. We have Kubernetes Made Easy. Greg Verstraeten and Mickey Boxall are going to take us through a typical journey of a Kubernetes cluster on Oracle Container Engine for Kubernetes. So if that's something you're interested in, I invite you to join us for that. I'm going to drop a link to the registration page in the chat. So go ahead and check that out when you have a moment. And as usual, our usual reminders here, I invite you to use that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen for any questions throughout. I'll be in the chat, but our presenters are mostly just going to monitor that Q&A box. So that's the best place to put questions that you have throughout the presentation. And we're also recording, of course. So if you have colleagues you think might be interested in this, or you want to catch a replay and deep dive a little deeper into what they're talking about, I will post a link toward the end to where you can find the replay and the slides for today's presentation. All right, that is just about enough for me. I'm going to pop up one more poll as I hand things over because we're curious about everybody's experience with ODA, and we'd like to hear from you kind of where you're coming from with this. And go ahead and answer that as I hand it over, and take it away, Srini. It's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Kenna. As Kenna mentioned, I lead product management for ODA, and today we will actually introduce you to the ODA platform and walk you through how you can use it through the OCI console to ramp up your OCI deployments. A quick note before we get started, any future capabilities that we may touch on in this presentation may be subject to changes, so please make your decisions accordingly. All right, today's agenda. First, we'll do a quick overview, then we'll go through how the ODA platform is being used to deploy the Oracle Support Digital Assistant. And also we'll talk through RT, which is the assistant for ODA, which can answer all questions about ODA itself. And lastly, we'll wrap up with some resources and time for Q&A. So what is Oracle Digital Assistant? Most of you are familiar with Alexa or Siri, which are consumer assistants. ODA is essentially the same for enterprise. It's actually a platform for building a digital assistant specifically for your enterprise and power it with intelligent chatbots and voice bots called skills. ODA supports conversational channels, Slack, Teams, Messenger, any of the web and text and mobile-based channels that you may use. We also support smart speakers as well as our own enterprise-grade voice-based interaction. ODA was built ground up on OCI as a day one service, and it's available in all OCI regions. You may have noticed on the right side the animated GIF of a conversation we recorded with RT. RT is a recently introduced digital assistant that's available on our own documentation pages. It's an assistant that can answer questions about itself, basically. The bit.ly link is there, and we'll come back to this later on in today's session. Over the past few years, you may have interacted with a few chatbots built for a specific purpose, perhaps tell you about weather, or check your pizza delivery using a few simple keywords. A digital assistant is an evolution from this primitive single-cell chatbot into a multi-purpose proactive AI with which you can interact with using natural sentences. So let's see what sort of skills can you add to a digital assistant. So on the right, on the left-hand side, you see any application you may have in your enterprise. So you can have supply chain, ERP, CM, IT, service management, etc. The way you connect this into your employees is through what we refer to as skills. So you can have different supply chain management skills like purchase order management, inventory management, etc. You can have ERP skills for procurement, expenses, HCM skills for, let's say absence management goals, and let's say CX skills for opportunity management and so on. And all these then get bundled into your specific digital assistant, and those that is then delivered through the various conversation channels. So what does the platform itself consist of? ODA platform consists of various microservices, starting with the core services which are used for interacting with the user. So these are our language and speech services built on a unified deep learning stack. Through this, we do multilingual intent classification, NER, ASR, and so on. And as with any deep learning-based system, you typically need a lot of data. So we provide tools and processes for capturing that data through data manufacturing, automatic data augmentation, and fine-tuning for enterprise-specific domains. We also have the core dialogue service, which will allow you to do different ways of interacting, different forms of dialogue with your users. These dialogues can be designed through a low-code dialogue designer as well. And as we spoke about earlier, we do multi-channel messaging, which allows you to interact with the digital assistant through various channels. We also come with a skill store in which you will find a lot of pre-built skills and templates that will allow you to connect with Oracle applications as well as third-party applications. So there are templates that you can extend and quickly deploy for your own digital assistant. Lastly, if the digital assistant is not able to answer some questions, we provide a seamless human agent integration. So you can actually hand off from the DA to the agent, hand back from the agent to the DA, as well as assist an agent while he or she is talking to an end user. And to ensure that you're actually providing meaningful interactions for your users, we allow you to integrate with various backend services through embedded containers, OCI functions, or standalone services and REST APIs. And the whole of this is brought together into our insights dashboard, where you can track how your digital assistant is performing, how you can retrain it periodically, and how it surfaces intelligent suggestions for you to improve its effectiveness. In terms of benefits for your enterprise, when you think of customer service or customer experience, yes, this will help you essentially attack high call volume, reduce your wait times, and increase your overall customer satisfaction with limited staffing. For your employee experience, again, easier access to different types of information. You can recruit and onboard your employees faster. You can improve their productivity and give them access to various internal resources. If you think of domain-specific benefits, let's say financials or ERP, where you can actually provide quick access to critical information and actionable insights, or if you're looking at CX and sales, you can provide quick information about clients and opportunities, and improved sales effectiveness and accelerate sales cycles. So with that, let us focus on the Oracle Support Digital Assistant, and let me hand over to my colleague, Andre Teixeira, to take you through that.
Can you hear me? Okay, so today I'm going to talk about our implementation of ODA which we call Oracle Support Digital Assistant, or internally you call like OSDA. So our OSDA is basically, the mission is to help like you user with support, right? I mean, you have an issue with OCI, right? Or want to implement, let's say, a VPN, or have a question, or have I can't connect to my compute instance. So there are like a series of problems that eventually, or questions that eventually users have. And I mean, as OCI, we offer like two ways to access support, right? One is you can access support through the chat experience. And the second is you can access support through the open an incident, right? So right now, the chat that we have, we empower the chat with ODA, right? And our OSDA, basically, it works mostly how most of the implementation for digital assistant work, which is, yeah, you select to chat with us. You talk to our digital assistant to call like as a first tier agent. And then, I mean, the first tier agent or digital assistant is going to try to solve the customer's issue, right? The user problem, and then, I mean, if it can't, it actually ask you to say, hey, customer, this solve your issue, right? And then you say no, or you say like, I want to talk to someone, so it goes and transfer to a live agent, right? And to make it really easy to go to a live agent, don't put barriers. So as a user, right, OSDA is there to help you, but you can with that integration with OSDA, with ODA, with OSVC or Oracle Service Cloud. But it's pretty easy. That transfer happens seamlessly when the live agent like receives your chat. The live agent has all the history. It already know how you interact with OSDA, so you can the live agent can continue helping you, and do not need to keep asking you questions, right? Just to have like a perspective like how we implemented this, or when where this is located. I mean, we have like two that call like channels, or two instances that you can access. The first one is like go to oracle.com/cloud. You see the chat icon there, and you select the start chat, and then you talk to OSDA, to our digital assistant, right? And the second way to access the digital assistant is through the OCI console, meaning that like you sign into the console, and in the console you can click on the question mark, or there is a live ref too. So you click there, and you can select either like the chat with us, or visit the support center that is our module that has everything about support. And then you click there to support chat, and then you are talking with our digital assistant, right? And in terms of volume, it's interesting because 50% of our volume comes from Oracle.com, 50% of our volume comes to one console. But the categories of issues are mostly different, right? The one on the right is on the console are more technical in nature, because you're already a customer, you are authenticated, you are implementing some new service from OCI, and the one on the left is let's say is non-authenticated, and the types of issues that we receive there are people trying to subscribe to OCI, trying to sign up with new account, trials, and those types of issues. So in the end, I mean, you use the same skills, you use the same implementation. You see that they are themed differently too. You can do this too, but in the end, it's the same digital assistant. We don't, I mean, you don't need to manage two different digital assistants, just one, and the skills are the same. So in terms of like how the benefit for us, right? For us, I mean, in the end, it's all about the end user, right? You're helping the end user, like getting the answers faster. and at the same time, I mean, you're like helping them also to get to a live agent faster, right? In like January to July, for example, we increased the number of sessions in 70%. On the other hand, the transfer to live agents decreased actually to 12%. So this is in 12%, right? So that's a big benefit for us. And we call the deflection rate is the volume of sessions that stays on the digital assistant. Is like back in January, it was about 20%. In July, 35%. It means that 35% of users get their answers from our digital assistant and do not need to talk to a live agent. And here's a list of top issues, right? I mean, most of the top issues here are listed from Oracle.com. I mean, most common issue, users losing password, how can sign in, and there are like billing issues. User wants to know why. I want to have this new service, how much it costs, or I want to know how to access my billing details and all those types of questions. Like people subscribing to trials and the credit card has been denied, and account creation issues like did not receive the email for activation. So all those are the common issues that we have. But in the end, I mean, OSDA is powered with like about 500 questions that we implemented as intents, and I will talk about a little bit. On old version, we use this module in ODA called the Q&A. And the Q&A, I mean, the way that it works is just like a search, right? It uses like a keyword search, and users type a query, and then do a search on our question database. And this search is based on keywords, right? So like sign in Linux, in this case, how to sign into a Linux. And you see that the first answer here is actually correct, right? But on the other hand, I mean, because this search from the module is based on search, it brought like some questions, some answers here that are not really relevant, like how to sign in using Firefox. So because it's the keyword search, and I mean, to really make use of the power of ODA, you have to use this module, or actually use what we call intents. And intents, it really makes use of NLP, right, or natural language processing, right? And what this is basically, let's say, customer or users ask like, hey, how can I log in to my VM as a root, right? Then there is one answer, right? There is no like many answers, just one answer straight with that related to that question. And then because if we're using NLP, like user can ask this differently, right? Instead of like, how can I sign into my VM as root? Maybe like need to sign in to Linux with high privileges, right? And brought the same answers. Or maybe they ask like multiple ways. I need to sign in as root. I need to give me root access. So all of this is powered by the natural language processing, bringing the same answer. So customers really can talk, can really have the conversations with our digital assistant and still obtain the answers, right? And here is where we are heading, right? So where we want to be, and we'll talk where we are as well. So first of all, you as a user go to our support experience, like either web and chat. Then you're going to interact with our digital assistant, right? And the digital assistant have like two ways to help you, right? The first one is going to help you with what we call intent-based. And like I said, I mean, that's the more efficient way to implement with ODA, because it uses the natural language processing. And I say like, we use the intent-based when I know what the answer is, right? We have the curated answers. We have the NLP on those answers. Like I said, I mean, we have about 500 questions. And eventually, I mean, we may have automation to fix some of these issues, right? Let's say password resets. Eventually, we're going to get to a point that the digital assistant will reset the password for you without need to talk to a live agent, right? Then after that, let's say the intent base was not able to find the answer for your question because maybe it's not a common issue. We don't have in our catalog of questions. So the next step is that we use a search based, right? And the search based in our case, we're using our documentation, right? We have the docs.oracle.com. We the ODA or instance of ODA is integrated with that. And now you can search. I mean, it searches for you using your query on our documentation, and then for search based, it's going to show you like a few options for the more relevant based on the search, and then as a user you can also use the search based, and of course, I mean, if that can help you, you go to the next step, which is you talk to a live agent, right? And like I said, I mean, we don't put barriers. As a user, you're going to get to a live agent pretty easy when you need. And the important thing for us is to help you as a user. And where we are right now is that for the chat experience, we just launched the new version, you know, and that I said that uses the NLP processing, and then the web experience, which is kind of a non-conversational, we wanted to do in the future, is not there yet. All right, so I'll go to a quick demo here, and let me just go quickly here on the. So first of all, like I said, I mean, you have oracle.com /cloud, access the support experience here. You see that, I mean, we themed it differently, not only themed, but in this case, because we know that there are like categories of common issues. We already put up front here, like the most common issues that users report. So users do not even need to type anything if they have like a common issue, like a common question, like, why do I need to have a credit card? So they can select here, obtain the answer right away. And then we ask if this can answer or not. So, and then let me go here with the console, because the console, as you sign into console, it is our new version that, like I said, we just implemented yesterday. You go to help, and here you can also click on this live raft here and go to help and click on chat with us, right? So in this case, I'm going to use a few queries here that I have. Let's say a user, like I can connect to a Linux instance, right? A user type there, and okay, so that's your answer, right? You can connect to, how can I access my computer instance to the internet, right? And again, I mean, you can see that it's not necessarily the same keywords, right? And but still got the answer. And then we say, for Linux you can access this, for in Windows you can access this. So click there and goes to documentation to see more information. And here is the information on how to, I mean, you have to create a virtual network, launch an instance, connect to your environment, and so forth, right? Then a few things that we've done here is you as a user, right, can just ask like multiple questions here without being guided, right? So here you can have the option to, did this answer a question? And if you say no, the next thing that's going to happen is that you're going to do the search base, right? And then the search based, like, it brings the documentation. Let's see, you navigate through here, and yeah, connect to Linux. Maybe that tutorial is going to help me. And then, I mean, there's now a tutorial like launching your first Linux instance, and that might be relevant to you. And yeah, in the end, you can also say that, hey, this helped me. If not, yeah, let's chat with a live agent. Again, I mean, really easy. Get you someone that's going to help you, because important for us is really that you obtain the help that you need, right? Also, I mean, you can say things like, let's say I need to create a user, right? And in this case, as you see, there is no like first attempt because we don't have this question on our database. We don't have anything that relates to that query. And in this case, it just goes and do the search for you, right? Then I'm going to show you like a few of the things here in terms of the natural language processing, which is, for example, I mean, I typed here, that's another question that's common, like how much this service is going to cost, right? So I want to create a database, but I need to know how much I'll pay, right? And then it brings you the answer. And the other question that's kind of a similar, but not necessarily, is I want to know, in the end, go here again. I want to know the cost for a new compute instance in my tenant, and for any reason, it's not bringing the correct answer. But the fact is, I mean, again, I mean, it uses the NLP and brings you the answer that you need, right? So let's say someone types like, I need to know how much I'm paying for my service, right? And again, I mean, you see that the question has the same meaning, but do not use the same keywords, right? And then the same thing is like, I want to estimate the cost of a new service, right? So this also brings like a different answer for you. Say like, hey, you want to estimate? You can use our cost estimation, or you can also talk to our sales team and or sign into the console. If you already have a service, go to those menu and select to see the actual cost from one existing service that you need, right? And another thing that like you can use is those more like that we call like guided scenarios, which is like those scenarios that I want to implement as a follow-up questions, right? For example, I mean, so that's a common issue is like I'm trying to create a new trial, but my credit card is being denied, right? So it brought the payment method here, but let's say I want to cancel my trial, because this is another scenario that we have that eventually customers believe that they need to, if they have a trial after third day, they don't want to cancel, they don't want Oracle to charge them. But the fact is, Oracle does not charge you after the 30 days. It's just convert you to the free tier that we call like free tier that in the end you don't need to worry about being charged, right? Okay, so that's basically our OSDA, and if you have any questions, please like use on the chat here, but go back to the presentation, stop my sharing, and thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Andre. So on to the third speaker, or third part of the talk, which we're going to focus a little bit more on the digital assistant. So let me get my screen straightened out. All right, so I think you have seen how the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Console and support uses the Oracle Digital Assistant to answer a variety of questions. And yeah, there's an excellent question that came through. It's like, well, if you have your own system, chat system, you're using a chat system, can digital assistant help? Just like how it's helping us to answer some questions. The answer is absolutely yes, and we look forward to connect with you, especially if you're ISV or and so forth. So first of all, a bit of a question. Have you heard about Artie, which is our digital assistant, about a digital assistant? And so we'll let the, thank you, Kenna, for remembering pop this up, but this is very interesting to hear whether you have also worked with the digital assistant before. And the chances are you may have worked with the digital assistant for Oracle Digital Assistant, which is called Artie. So without further ado, I think rather than talking about Artie, let's talk to Artie rather than talk about Artie. So let's flip over to my busy screen. All right. So if you go to the, and if you see the poll, right, the poll has the link to our documentation site. Great. And see, actually, it's interesting. And I think in the beginning of the webcast, we're seeing that roughly 1/3 of you have not heard about digital assistant at all, which is great. I mean, I think this is the first time we want to give you a quick overview, really touch the surface, but really, you know, start to talk about what digital assistant really is by demonstrating how digital assistant can actually be of assistant to you. But I think 2/3 of you haven't really worked with digital assistant, that were Artie. Artie is basically an assistant about the digital assistant. So if you go to the Oracle Digital Assistant documentation site, and you will see a little chat icon that shows up on the lower right corner, and you can really ask any number of questions to assist in the development of digital assistant. You can ask a very generic question: what is Oracle Digital Assistant? And it will go ahead and provide some answer. What is Oracle Digital Assistant? And you can also start to see some of the best practices. Oracle Digital Assistant, the Artie has a lot of a pretty wide knowledge base, and a lot of times the questions may sound similar to each other. And one of the features for digital assistant platforms to actually be able to do a first level disambiguation for you and display to the user, so user is able to pick, well, I'm really interested in this area and that area, right? I can also use speak into the microphone, and this is actually using the Oracle Voice. We have our own voice to text engine, and for a variety of reasons, one of which is that we're able to better train the voice to text recognition based on industry specific terminologies and also our own terminology. So I can ask the question, oops, I have allowed access. How do I program Microsoft Teams? Yeah. All right. So, and there you go. It returns a bunch of articles, related articles on using Microsoft Teams. And I can see that, okay, this is how I can integrate with Microsoft SSO and so forth. Maybe I can also ask another question. Examples of creating a custom component. So the question is, exactly what is a custom component? Well, custom component is actually how digital assistant connects to backend services and data. And earlier in the webcast, Srini kind of talked about, well, you know, you can write digital assistant consists of multiple skills, and then these skills connect to different backend applications. Well, there's no magic there, right? That the digital assistant still have to talk to the backend application and get data back using APIs. You can almost think of a process as basically the digital assistant does that translation of taking what you say, well, I want to get my vacation balance into an API, the REST API, which I'm not going to be able to say in English language, to go to the HCM backend to pull that information and display it to the end user. Right, that's what digital system does. But in order to make that API calls, it goes through a layer called custom component. And what you can see how RD works is that it not only gives you a summary of the of how to of replying to your question, but also a deep link linking to the exact documentation that help you to do that, as well as the we have an SDK that helps you, and basically a custom component leverages Java Node.js, and you basically write Node.js code to connect to the backend services, and we have SDK that implements some of the common functions and so forth. So this provides a link to the JavaScript SDK. You can click on read more, and then it gives you more information. Now, what you also see is you can start to see some of the best practices that are being implemented in RD that you may also want to implement in your own type of aid. And especially if you are, I think we have a question from ISV partner, but if you also have create your own software for offerings, and you want to provide instructions on how to use your software, or even another development platform, this is really a great tool for you. And we also provide links, and there are things like links to the 2-minute tech video. So we have a lot of these, and what you would notice right on the left side is, well, we have a lot of enablement materials. How do we get sense of, a sense of that, right? And where do you get started? You can start with the overview, you can start with the links, but the digital assistant really helps you to kind of pinpoint and allow you to very quickly ask questions that you need to find out. I can also say, how do I integrate with Oracle Service Cloud? Right, let's say I have Oracle Service Cloud, and or even any customer service systems that has a live chat. How do you go about integrating with these live chat systems? Can also the question, and it's going to then guide you through the different architectures of integrating with the backend, which support 2 ways: agent handoff, a digital assistant as an agent, and this explains what is the difference. And you notice that there's also a button here say forget I've even asked, right? So the again, that's the sort of the best practice that you create a little always create a way out for your end users to say, okay, well, forget it. And continue on, rather than making me continue down this conversation, right? Again, a few other things I can ask for. We also have a new feature called data manufacturing. How do I create a new data? Well, let's speak to it. I'm tired of typing. Be interesting to see how my microphone works. How do I create a data manufacturing job? There we go. And data manufacturing is a mechanism, and Srini earlier talked about, right? So any sort of AI services require a lot of data. And well, you as the digital system developer, the creator, or the user OCI may not have all the data that's available to train the digital system, or actually you probably want to get a greater community to help train your digital system to understand the different things that your digital system is going to create. So, and we have a feature called data manufacturing that basically allows you to define these data manufacturing jobs. You can distribute to a greater community for them to contribute to, okay, well, what are the different ways to ask a question? I want to expense my taxi expense, for example. Well, that's one way to say it, but I'm sure that everyone in the call today can think of many other ways of doing that. All right. So there's a few questions up flashing through, but I'm sure Srini's taking care of those. A few other things I can also ask. Let's see, what is machine learning? All right. And machine learning entities, for those of you who work with the digital assistant, you're familiar with the basic terminologies, intents, and entities. Entities are really the keywords that you want to extract out of a utterance. Machine learning entity is a new type of entities that are that you can essentially provide a context and oh gosh. I had a late night last night, so that the term escapes me. You can annotate the entity and specify in a utterance and say, well, if I have a utterance, find me Paris Hilton from the Paris office. The two Parises are obviously not the same. One is a city, one is a person. So anyway, and you'll be able to annotate that so that you allow the entity extraction process to be smarter next time about extracting. Well, one means city, the other one means a person based on its context and positions and so forth. And you can see when it's available. Right, and there's a variety of other things that you can also ask. And I'm not going to go through all of the functionalities. What we'd like you to do is basically, try it out. Go to this bit.ly/ODA doc and ask different questions and see how it responds. And let's try something that's a little bit. I'm not even going to try to say this, but just what is speed among latent swallow? Any Monty Python fans there would recognize the this utterance from the I think it's from Monty Python, the Holy Grail. And anyway, so the obviously the Artie isn't trained on this, which I think I need to talk to the creator, Artie Grant, who's actually from UK. How can you not know about Monty Python? But so I can leave my email address at oracle.com, and basically it locks the this as a feedback. And also in the backend, we actually integrate with our Slack channel so that our doc writer or our teams will be able to follow up, and we'll follow up with you. If you have a question that can't be answered, we'll follow up with you and see how we improve the utterance. We also behind the scenes have a digital assistant insight that that would be able to see how the digital assistant is going. So behind the scenes, let's say, for example, this is actually what the digital assistant already actually looks like. And of course, since I tried to get in, it locks out, but that's fine. Right. So, so I can go to already, and then behind the scenes, we also uses the digital assistant insights to see how the already is doing. And this is actually a test instance, so you don't have a lot of activities. This is something that we're currently going from internal testing, but through digital assistant insights, what you'll see is the key statistics about a skill. So if you create your own digital assistant, you create your own skill, which is a chatbot, you'll be able to see and monitor that. And this happened to be a skill. One of the skills, one of the chatbot consists of Artie. Okay, so Artie, as I said, is a digital assistant about a digital assistant. And well, and there's no, we didn't use any, beta code or any secret sauce to create this digital assistant. It's all based on production code that you have access to. And it is structurally consists of these different areas of the product. And as I asked different type of questions, the digital assistant, if you kind of recall earlier in the webcast, Srini talked about the digital systems consist of multiple skills. So we have a digital assistant called Artie that's consists of individual skills. Individual skills are like individual chatbot that handles a specific areas or topics, right? So if I ask questions earlier, for example, show me how to program Microsoft Teams and SSO, the digital assistant route the request to the channels skill. And if I go to the channel skill, then the channel skill itself or chatbot has a list of intents that then be able to answer questions based on the type of question, for example, session expiration and so forth. These intents, and this is what goes into creating a sort of a FAQ skill, is using a type of intent we call answer intent. And we have optimized our NLU to be able to handle a very large number of these intents, where very similar sounding utterances, the NLU will be able to disambiguate based on the data that you provide, right? So again, these data are utterances, and you provide examples of how a user may be asking a question relating to session expiration. And then in the digital assistant, you'll be able to, an end user will be able to ask the question, the request routes to the channels skill, and then once it routes to the channel skill, then the intent classification takes place to recognize that, okay, you're asking about session expiration, right? So at a high level, that's how it all works. It's just like any other digital assistant and skill that you're going to create. There's nothing, there's no secret sauce, or that we're preserving. This is all available to you, right? All right, so great. Now, why did we create Artie? The first goal is really to help OCI users who are interested in using and leveraging digital assistant. But we also want to showcase and try out some best practices around designing, around natural language processing, testing, and conversation design. And so as you go through, and actually this is a very interesting way of using Artie as well, is that as you go through and test out Artie, what you'll be able to see are the tidbits of best practices around designing a conversation. Now, what do we mean by designing a conversation, right? I mean, I'll be honest, the digital assistant and the conversational AI technology isn't as smart as a human yet. Well, actually, we can thank goodness for that. A machine is not smarter than human. So there are best practices that you want to be able to, for example, guide a user in certain situations or let your user out a certain conversation. So just like we're having a conversation that I'm trying to guide you and explaining through a series of things, the digital assistant, a good digital assistant will help you to guide through these conversations. So we, build in these best practices into Artie. There are also a few things around infrastructure best practices of proof points, meaning that there's a few different things that we're integrating. For example, we use object store to store a lot of assets and also for failover. And so the digital assistant and Artie is built, well, of course, on the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, uses Kubernetes for a lot of common custom component services. Of course, we support embedded Node.js runtime for a lot of the integration of the backend. However, for more complex integration, for example, we need to integrate with Oracle documentation sites and blogs and things like that. We would use Kubernetes and OCI services, and also integrating with Slack and so forth. It's also our proof point and testbed for future features. And when we release an update on our natural language processing engine, which we continuously improve, or a new flow designer or a feedback component, we try out on the on Artie. So this is also for our own use, but certainly it's very useful for you. Now, I think the million-dollar question is, how do you write your own RD? Well, it's actually not that, we make that available to you, not RD itself, but the at least the, at least the template. So what you'll be able to look at is in the, so the first place, your starting point is going to, is going to the, and this is the Digital Assistant Administrative Console. And what you want to do is go to the skill store. In the skill store, you'll find a template called Digital Assistant Template. And I have really pulled this down, but if you haven't, you can pull this. And once you pulled it, it will show up in your list of digital assistants. Okay, yeah, actually, sorry. The, oh, I think this probably timed out. That's why the screen is not responding. That's what happens for just talking too much. Yeah. So in the in the skill store, there's the digital assistant template that you can pull, and then you can go to digital assistant and look at the digital assistant template, which is fairly simple. There's really just a couple of skills. One is what we call common skill template, which is, and then there's a skills template. The skills template, if I click here to go to skills, is really consists of 3 example intents, right? So that you can create a transaction intent, and as well as a answer intent, basically FAQ type of intent. And then the another, oh, sorry. Then the common skills template basically handles a lot of small talks, right? So, you know, the nature of the conversational user interface is a human being will want to converse with it. So this is a way to, we provide a template to handle a lot of these small talks. And also, once you pull that, there's a blog article that you can leverage called Building a Frequently Asked Questions Skill Using a Programming by Convention Approach. It's a long, but basically it's a complete article that goes through how to use the template to create your own digital assistant similar to RD, as well as review the video, right? I just scratched the surface of how RD is created, but there's actually a complete video that we go through on how to create the, how the RD was created. Now, a little bit of bonus content as well. If you go to the, I'll share the links to the Digital Assistant video channel, you will see we also have a series of webcasts on how to leverage OCI for Digital Assistant. Some of these has to do with using Kubernetes and using external functions to host custom component to integrate with a variety of backend services or other third-party services. One of which, part 4, building webhook for custom messengers, are using OCI services to integrate with third-party chat systems. So if you're using a third-party chat system, non-Oracle, this will go through how to use OCI to use webhook interface to connect into these custom messengers and also integrate with third-party systems. We also have other videos that talks about how to use OCI Vault for managing your credentials in conjunction with digital assistant and so forth. So we have these available to you as well as videos and training videos. And to access those, really the starting point, a great starting point is the is from RD, and all of these videos are actually part of this, what we'll call Design Camp video series. And you can see the different topics on the right here. All right. So very quickly, as we're running short on time, but what I wanted to go through then is just a few key resources. First is our digital assistant product page. So if you go to the, and this is very easy to navigate to. So if you want to learn more, just a high level of what digital assistant is and what the use cases are, then you want to go to oracle.com/DA for digital assistant. And that takes you to the digital assistant product site. I think for some reason, it's kind of slow this morning. Sorry about that. All right. And the other one is a learning resource. We already went through ARDI, which is a great resource for you to help to get started. But there are also a lot of really interesting technical articles on blogs.oracle.com/mobile. And again, you can link off our documentation site. There's these, let's see, so under tips and tricks is where we publish all the tech articles. All right, and there's also a Cloud Customer Connect forum. If you have questions, you can go to Cloud Customer Connect, and then under the OCI forum, there's a digital assistant and mobile forum that you can ask questions. In case you haven't noticed, there's a new look to the Cloud Customer Connect forum. So definitely check it out, and also post your questions in the Cloud Customer Connect forum. And also on the Oracle Live Labs, for those of you on who uses the OCI, for example, and you may be familiar with Oracle Live Labs, and there's a number of Oracle Live Lab labs on Oracle Digital Assistant. So you can just search for Oracle Digital Assistant, and then it will be able to return a list of articles. Now, how do you get started? There's, if you want to start basically with learning digital assistant, you can start with these two live lab workshops, build the perfect digital assistant for your business, and also have a conversation with customer with digital assistant. You can see that there's quite a bit of views. This goes through, on the left here, goes through a more complex scenario of integrating digital assistant with autonomous database, Apex, and REST APIs. Whereas this middle one here focused directly on the digital assistant, on creating a digital assistant. And you can see that it goes through how to request your trial account and also what the workshop looks like. It's really a good way to get started with the Oracle Digital Assistant. I think during the initial poll, we see that there's, basically roughly 1/3 of you really haven't heard about Digital Assistant. And this is a great way to get started. Another great way to get started is that we have a customer newsletter. We have links on the screen here that we're going to share actually this presentation. So we'll be able to get these links that you'll be able to subscribe to the Oracle Digital Assistant newsletter that have customer stories, events, and trainings and product updates. We also have a Digital Assistant video hub. The training, a lot of the videos, actually this is a very interesting video that, for example, we talk about integration with, integration with ServiceNow, for example. These would be published through the, available through the Video Hub demos. We have that available. And also tying back to the Design Camp videos, we also have some discussion around using OCI service to connect with, for example, how does Digital Assistant connect with ServiceNow? We have a few article on that. And that's all on the Oracle Video Hub. And okay, I'm going to skip through Why Oracle Digital Assistant? Well, it's part of the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, so it's secure. It's able to leverage the rest of OCI services. And I think most of you are probably familiar with this page and seeing it many times. You can get started with Oracle Digital Assistant. If you have an OCI account, simply provision Oracle Digital Assistant in the OCI console. And if you don't, then by all means, go through the request a trial, go to cloud.oracle.com and request a trial. So how do I, so just very quickly, 3 minutes over time, but just quickly go through this so you know where to get, where to find Digital Assistant in the OCI console. Of course, you can ask the, chat with us. How do I create a digital assistant? There you go. And using the support, but the long and short of it is you can also go to the console and go to Analytics AI, and then go to Digital Assistant. Digital Assistant is one of the AI services. That's it. All right, so I'm out of time, and on the screen here you see a poll, and I see there's some questions that we'll try to answer very quickly. Any help, Digital Assistant for IT team? Yeah, so just take a couple of questions on a couple of questions. Yeah, Jitender, good question. We do have a sample on IT help desk, so we can send that. This is actually available publicly on blog.oracle.com. So we do have the that's a template that you can download. And additionally, I think IT help desk. Certainly ServiceNow is a very popular IT help desk system. So we also have samples and that kind of walk you through how to integrate with live chat with ServiceNow, which is what I was showing here. All right. Great. Apologies for 5 minutes, running 5 or 6 minutes long, but I hope you enjoy the webcast and see how Oracle Digital Assistant can help you with fast track your OCI project, and certainly using the support assistant to help you, as well as using Digital Assistant really to help offload a lot of your chat and support traffic, and and also the resources that can help you to get started. All right, so great. Yeah, and Jitender, yep, so I'll share this in the chat. And but in the meantime, I want to turn this back over to Kenna and to wrap this up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe and Srini and Andre for this. We can post some of these links as well in the Cloud Customer Connect event post. So all of those resources and things like that, as well as the replay of this as well. And then I think we're going to have you back in a couple weeks on October 14th for some more deep dive into ODA as well. So if anyone's interested in that, we'll have information coming out about that very soon. So thank you so much for sticking around, everyone. We'll hope to see you next week and in future weeks for more events, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, Jitender, I'll reach out to you. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everyone.